Hey there, and a happy Saturday to each and every single one of you. Let me just zip this up to look vaguely more neat and professional. There we go. Anyway, I can even get some leaves fluttering in front of the camera. Anyway, I'm here because this is the one spot that I could find that's got zero wind noise, and let you in on a couple of follow-ups from yesterday's video. Remember, I was talking about Carrie and how it almost nearly never got finished. That would have the novel that launched Stephen King's career. Well, this morning I found out something else that happened to another famous content creator in a completely different genre. That was Rod Stewart. Back in 1971, he was in the studio recording his album Every Picture Tells a Story. And he got to the end of the recording process, and the producers came to him and said, "We've got space on the album for one more song. We need one more song for you. Do you have anything else that you can maybe just put onto the album right at the end?" And Rod said, "I've got this one other song. It's a bit of a ballad, but it's not any good at all. It's a terrible song. I really don't want to record it." But the producers pressured him and said, "We need to fill the one empty space on the album, so you have to record the song for us." So very reluctantly, Rod Stewart went into the studio and laid down the final track to finish out the album Every Picture Tells a Story. And the track that he didn't want to record because it wasn't any good and nobody would like it is none other than the song Maggie May, the song that launched his international career and made him world famous. So there's yet another example of us as content creators are so stuck in the minutiae of what we're doing. We often can't see whether or not what we are producing content-wise has any value outside of our own head. So the moral of the story there is that if you've got an idea that you want to thinking about as far as a blog post is concerned, write the post. Don't ditch the idea. Anyway, let me go and pick up one or two things that I need for lunch and continue out with my content creation process for today. And a super good evening from Sunday the 27th of August. As you may have noticed, I've surreptitiously slightly cut down the video production part of the content production, or the video part of the content production, down from 7 videos a day down to a mere 6. Just to give myself just that little bit extra downtime over the weekend. I'm sure you won't be overtly chest-fallen to be having 6 videos instead of 7. It just helps me round out the close of my 1 week and helps me plan my writing content for the week ahead. And speaking about writing content, today's content production was, or the production goal for the day was a mere 507 words. 507 words a day would get me to my 50,000 word target by the end of the month of August, and I knocked out 1,862, which is just a little bit ahead of that. That brings the total word count for the month of August up to 49,327, which is roughly, give or take a couple of words, about 670 words short of the 50,000 word goal, and 4 days to do it in. So 670 words in 4 days. So that means that when I switch on the computer tomorrow morning, I'll probably see that my word count total target for Monday will probably be in the ballpark of about 150 words. That's like one goodish paragraph and it's done and dusted. Anyway, let me finish off my Sunday video by sharing with you another little bit of nugget of wisdom that came from Stephen King, and that's that I can morph slightly into the world of blogging, and that deals with rejection. Novelists deal with rejection letters. They receive rejection letters for their manuscripts over and over and over again before a publisher picks it up and takes the project forward. Stephen King used to have a nail on the wall, and he used to hang his rejection letters up on the nail on the wall, up until he got to the point where his nail on the wall was no longer big enough to hold all the rejection letters, and he got one of those stationary, big, tall spike file things, that long, sharp spike, and he moved them from the nail of the wall to the spike file, and then he just, each new rejection letter he added onto the spike file as he went along, and he keeps that at the corner of his desk. So I was thinking to myself, is there maybe some way that we as bloggers can incorporate maybe something similar into our blogger landscape, that we don't get hampered and stymied and held back by what we maybe perceive to be rejection? Because we don't receive a rejection letter like a novelist does. We don't receive a rejection letter from a publisher. We write our blog post, we hit publish, and we're published. We don't have that extra step to go through to be able to become published. But what about those blog posts that sometimes get us down because we've put everything into creating what we think is the perfect blog post, and we publish it, and we look at the end of month 1, and it's had 6 views, or 8 views, or 12 views, or somewhere around about there. And we feel really demotivated because this blog post that we wrote has gotten so few views in our first month that we feel that it's almost as if the audience is rejecting the content that we put out there. And I was thinking about at the same time that what would happen if you take all the blog posts you've written now, say this month, for the month of August, take all the blog posts you've written now for the month of August, and every single one of those blog posts we pick an arbitrary number, 20 views. Every single one of those blog posts that have got less than 20 accumulative views, you write the name of those blog posts on a piece of paper and slap them onto one of those big spike files. Then, in 6 months' time, you go and look at those blog posts that you perceive to yourself as having been rejections because they got less than 20 views in the first month. Now, bearing in mind that, especially with a new blog, it takes about 8 months for a blog post to be fully indexed. So maybe instead of 6 months, we'll take it to 8 months. So after 8 months, you come back and you take those blog posts that you've got on your spike file, and in any one of those blog posts that at the end of 8 months have got over 500 views cumulative over the course of 8 months, those blog posts, the pieces of paper with the titles of those blog posts, they come off your spike file and the other ones remain. How motivating will it be to be pulling those titles, those blog posts, off your spike file, the ones that originally were rejections and are now suddenly being accepted by your audience? How motivating would that type of scenario be? So in the similar type of fashion to Stephen King and his rejection letter spike file, that a blog post that you've written, a blog post that I've written, that hasn't gotten a lot of views in month 1 or month 2, could be perceived as being rejected by my audience, and therefore that blog post is a failure. But if you run the clock out to the 8 months where blog posts, that it generally takes blog posts to get indexed. Suddenly, those rejections are no longer rejections. So then why is it that right at the beginning, just after we've hit publish, we don't see the response immediately? Why do we take that as a rejection immediately then, when over the course of 8 months to when the blog post is properly indexed, it isn't a rejection at all? Isn't it just some sort of a self-limiting thought pattern mindset that we put there, that we're expecting our blog post to be hitting good numbers straight away, immediately, going viral, so to speak? So maybe I've got the big Content Warrior Challenge to come up in September. So maybe on my side, maybe one of you can remind me at the end of September because I've got a Spike file here packed away somewhere. It's in 2 pieces because when traveling internationally, the Spike part of the Spike file is deemed to be a dangerous instrument and had to be packed away, especially in bubble wrap with a cork covering the spiky part of the spike and all sorts of things, so it wouldn't be seen as a dangerous weapon. So anyway, I've got a spike file here somewhere that can be put back together again. So maybe if one of you can remind me about that, maybe I should run that experiment for all of the blog posts that I publish for the month of September. What do you think? Because I'm planning to publish at least, not right on, but besides the work that I'm going to be doing for clients, I'm planning to publish on my blogs 30 posts during the course of the month of September. So maybe if one of you remind me to get my Spike file out at the end of September, we can run that experiment through from September, what's it, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, through until the end of May. And then you can see exactly how many of those blog posts written in during the course of the month of September were failures. How about it? Just remind me to get my Spike file out, because I may have forgotten about that by the time we get to the end of September. Anyway, with that, it's now coming up for 10 o'clock in the evening. Let me wrap up, get myself in the direction of bed and a good night's sleep so that I can attack Monday morning, full speed, high productivity, just like you will be doing on your side as well. Have yourselves a superb week ahead, and good night.